Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 9 on Fargo CW.
Our country and the world is on edge tonight after reports of North Korea testing some sort of nuclear bomb came to light early this morning. The blast was picked up by seismic stations all over the world, and it was huge. President Trump is weighing his options, including possible military responses, and CBS News correspondent Ben Tracy has the latest on this international crisis.
State television said North Korea carried out what it called a perfect test of a hydrogen bomb. In a statement, it said the test allowed North Korea to confirm the power control technology and internal structural design newly introduced into manufacturing H-bomb to be placed at the payload of the ICBM. North Korea claims it can now manufacture a nuclear-tipped missile capable of reaching the United States. On Sunday, the regime released these pictures of Kim Jong-un inspecting what North Korea says is a miniaturized hydrogen bomb to be placed on an intercontinental ballistic missile. The nuclear test comes just days after the North fired a missile directly over Japan. The U.S. and South Korea responded by conducting high-profile bombing drills on the Korean peninsula. Tensions have rapidly escalated since just 2 weeks ago when President Trump suggested his tough talk on North Korea was working.
Kim Jong-un, I respect the fact that I believe he is starting to respect us.
North Korea has been warning about a sixth nuclear test since April, and Kim Jong-un has significantly accelerated the pace of North Korea's weapons development, despite international sanctions designed to cripple his regime.
The presidents of China and Russia held a private meeting at an economic summit to discuss the test. They both agreed to adhere to the goal of denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. In an interview with our Minneapolis sister station, Senator Amy Klobuchar gave her thoughts about this North Korea situation.
This is not something to be at all taken lightly. This guy's a madman, Kim Jong-un. He's someone that just has now detonated a nuclear bomb that is has 7 times the amount of nuclear material than we saw in Hiroshima. He literally has killed his uncle. He has killed his half-brother. And that is why our United States of America Diplomatic Corps and everyone must be on alert. And I think the other thing we have to remember, there's some people that have talked about preemptively going in there with a military strike. Most people believe he would then retaliate against South Korea, could kill 10 million people if he did that easily. And so that's why so many of us are still focused, as is the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, on trying to keep the diplomatic channels open.
Coming up after weather, a Curtis Festival took place today. We have highlights from that. And if you love airplanes, we have a story for you and how you could get a chance to see a historic plane.
Let's take a look at that Valley News Live Storm Team Skycam Network shot in Fargo. Mainly clear today, partly cloudy depending on where you are, but it was hazy out there and it was pretty hot for this time of year. A high temperature of 90 degrees into the Fargo area, and that is about 13 to 14 degrees above normal for this time of year. 73 right now in Fargo as temperatures have fallen since we've lost that daytime heating. Lower 70s into Lakes Country, a little cooler out to the west, 64 at Jamestown, 63 as you make your way up to Langdon. Now we have a front that made its way through, so the wind has flipped to more of a northerly direction. It's getting a little breezy out there for the evening period, 10 to 20 miles per hour with slightly higher gusts. Now we kept partly cloudy to mostly clear skies across most of the viewing area. We'll increase the clouds as you make your way out toward Lake of the Woods County, and the shower and thunderstorm activity, some strong to severe, developed well east of our viewing area into the Arrowhead of Minnesota. We actually have a severe thunderstorm warning as you make your way out that way. But for us, we just stayed calm. That cold front that made its way through was dry for us. We had the southerly flow for most of the day, and now cool air is going to filter in, and that trend will continue over the next couple of days. So there's your scattered showers to the east of the viewing area. As we go through the overnight period, clear skies, an increase in the clouds for the day tomorrow with a chance of some showers in the morning. We could actually see a few peaks of sun a little later on the day, so we'll say partly cloudy skies with more showers and possible thunderstorms as we go through the afternoon and evening, but it will be a lot cooler. Temperatures ranging from the lower 60s out into Lakes Country into the lower 70s into the Southern Valley. So here's your forecast for the day tomorrow in Fargo. 71 under mostly cloudy skies. We have a chance of some showers, possibly some thunderstorms across the region. Mid-60s as you make your way from Fergus Falls to Detroit Lake. 68 your high Jamestown. Upper 50s and lower 60s as you make your way out toward the Devil's Lake Basin. And then for the day on Tuesday, we're going to keep that brisk northerly wind, and temperatures will continue their downward trend. We should only be into the mid to upper 60s as you make your way through the day on Tuesday, but mostly sunny skies will be the story, and mostly sunny skies the story for the rest of the week. Wednesday, a high of 70. Then we get into more of a southerly wind. 77 on Thursday, 79 on Friday. 82 on Saturday, and 84 on Sunday. It's a very dry weather pattern. We're going to see plenty of sunshine as we go through the week.
Thanks so much, Justin. Traffic was stopped earlier this evening after a two-car crash on I-94 coming into North Dakota near the Red River Bridge. This time lapse showing how slowly traffic was moving. Now, the Highway Patrol says they first received the call just after 4:30 when the westbound SUV ran into the back of a stalled vehicle on the side of the road. The people involved in that accident were not hurt, neither were taken to the hospital, and right now, no one has been cited for the crash.
Let's face it, everybody knows they're not supposed to drive intoxicated.
It's a holiday weekend, and police are reminding drivers to not drink and drive. The temptation is going to be there. You're at a friend's enjoying a good old barbecue, throwing back a few beers, and before you know it, it's time to go home, and you're trying to decide if it's okay to drive. Our reporter Molly Casey talks to two people who tell us it's better to be safe than sorry.
The first thing to go is your judgment, and that's a fact.
Football season is here, and the Labor Day weekend is in full swing, which means people are going to be drinking, but choosing to drink and drive can cost you.
I could think back to all of the fatality crashes that I've been on. Almost all have been drunk driving related.
Sergeant Mike Bernier has been with the Fargo Police Department for 15 years. He says there have already been nearly 450 DUI arrests this year.
I've seen anywhere from 600 to over 1,000 DUI arrests in a year, just in the city of Fargo.
But Fargo isn't alone. Moorhead Police Sergeant Clint Stephenson says they respond to DUI and DWI calls on a daily basis.
I think any officer that has any time on the street has dealt with a fatality or a serious accident that's been caused by a drunk driver.
In fact, shortly after his interview, the Moorhead Police Department was called to a rollover accident.
The driver of the blue vehicle, a resident of Fargo, was placed on arrest for suspicion of DWI.
Sergeant Stephenson says the driver of the blue car was going nearly double the speed limit and rear-ended the white car, causing it to go end over end. And then the driver tried to get away on foot.
He's currently under arrest and will not be a danger to anyone else in the foreseeable future.
There were no injuries, but Sergeant Stephenson and Sergeant Bernier have one message.
Have fun, but be responsible.
Just plan ahead and get that ride home rather than driving home intoxicated.
From Moorhead, Molly Casey, Valley News Live.
Thanks for that, Molly. Sergeant Stephenson says no one was injured in the crash, but that it was not the first DWI arrest the Moorhead Police Department made today. He says a man was arrested at 10:30 this morning for suspicion of drinking and driving. It's that time of the year again. Tax assessments have been mailed out, and many people are upset about how much they owe. But don't fret, you can attend meetings to contest what you do owe. There's actually 4 different organizations involved, so you have to go to a different hearing for each. The dates and times are on your screen, and we have information about them online. The hearings will be held throughout the month of September, with the first taking place on the 11th. Now, if you don't live in Fargo, make sure to check your statement and your local municipality's governing body for any hearings that they have scheduled. Freedom isn't a feeling that every person born in America experiences. Freedom is a feeling that a person born in America experiences. But that makes it easy for us to take our rights for granted. Here in the Valley, Kurds came together to celebrate Kurdish culture and potentially gain independence for the country of Kurdistan. Valley News Team's Clinton Rhodes gives us a look inside of one community hoping to give their people a place to call home.
There are many faces that you may see every day in the Fargo-Moorhead area, but today, their voices are as one.
We love America, we are Kurdish Americans, but at the same time, you cannot forget where you came from and who your ancestors are.
The Kurds were some of the first civilized people in the Middle East, and currently have a large ethnic population in Iraq. Their land, Kurdistan, has been controlled by country after country for more than 100 years, during which their culture was under attack.
Every Kurd knows they have family members that have been murdered, they have family members that have been tortured, they have family members that have been imprisoned.
They try to make the Kurds go away, disappear.
Nijar Farouk is a Kurdish refugee that spent 4 years in a Turkish camp, fleeing from violence in the area. Today, Kurdish soldiers, Peshmerga, are on the front lines in the fight against ISIS, and their nation-state is firmly under Iraqi government control. Later this month, the president of Kurdish territory in Iraq will hold a referendum where Kurds around the world can vote on a movement of Kurdish independence.
Kurdistan wants to create somewhere where Christians, Muslims, Yazidis, Failis, Kakis, all these folks can live together without fear of persecution.
Kurds from around the area and beyond turned out in support of this referendum, hoping to show the FM community and the world what this vote means to them.
It would be huge. It would be tremendous.
A big vote that might finally give the Kurdish people a place to call home. In Moorhead, Clint DeRose, Valley News Live.
The referendum has received mixed responses from the international community, but is extremely popular with Iraqi Kurds. The vote is set to take place September 25th. This afternoon, protesters demonstrating against racial inequality temporarily blocked an intersection outside the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. The Injustice on a Stick protests marched throughout St. Paul, with police saying traffic was shut down for several minutes in certain areas. The demonstration was organized by the Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar. In a press release, the group called for the creation of a police oversight council in Minneapolis that would be made up of entirely civilians. In the last couple of years, there have been several protests during the Minnesota State Fair in the wake of the police shooting deaths of Jamar Clark and Philando Castile. A piece of history just landed here in Fargo today. The B-25 Mitchell bomber was used by U.S. and other countries throughout World War II as an underappreciated workhorse. Now, you can appreciate it at the Fargo Air Museum once it opens its doors to the public this Tuesday. The plane was flown in as a part of the commemorative Air Force's Flying Legends of Victory tour to educate younger generations on just what it is like for airmen in World War II.
And part of that context is being able to get up close to the airplanes, touch them, go inside the airplane, see how cramped it was, get a feeling for what it was like for the young men that flew these airplanes.
Now, something interesting, this bomber in particular is the last B-25 that's been in combat and it's still flying. There'll be more flights and tours of the plane available soon, and for information on that, you can head over to valleynewslive.com. And just a reminder, tomorrow is of course Labor Day, so no matter where you live, government buildings, your post office, your bank, and most schools will be closed tomorrow, but you can expect malls, gas stations, and restaurants to be open. Those shopping places are probably offering up some sales for this holiday. Still ahead tonight, a report from Houston on the Hurricane Harvey cleanup.
I'm Danielle Nottingham in Houston. While the cleanup begins in Texas, some communities are still weeks away from drying out.